Thank you for visiting with us, and let's get right to the point. I know you frequently talk about the fact that in the unincorporated areas of Bexar County, we have a population the size of the city of Waco.
That's right.
And we know that over the next 2 decades, we're going to have tremendous population growth. So how does the county plan for that kind of growth?
Yeah, when you hear the term unincorporated, you automatically think rural and maybe farmland or ranches, those types of things. Well, that's not what it's like in the unincorporated area of Bexar County, especially North Bexar County. As you said, you've heard me say in the past, we've got a population out there the size of the city of Waco. And it requires the types of services most people would expect having in a city, especially infrastructure, your basic infrastructure services. And so how are we planning for those things, especially in light of recent annexation laws that have taken place in the state? So we can't expect the city of San Antonio or others to come and take over those things. It's going to fall on the back of the county to ensure that we do everything we can.
And a lot of people may not realize, but the county has very limited authority or a limited ability by design from the state, the state constitution. There's not a whole lot that you can do.
Yeah, that's it's a double-edged sword, so to speak. When you're in the unincorporated area, the county has no land use authority. So you could essentially build your house out there one day and be perfectly happy, and then your neighbor decides they want to build a dog pound. And the dogs bark all night. Well, unfortunately, your county government has no authority over that, and we won't be able to manage that process as cities do. So as things continue to grow in the unincorporated area, how it grows is something not within the control of county government.
You mentioned transportation. When we talk about growth, transportation is one of the key issues. The county has been instrumental in planning and in seeking funding for regional transportation projects.
Yes.
And you've been, personally, you've been a great leader on this subject. Tell us what you've been working on. What are some of the projects that are going to happen in Bexar County?
So, to some of your points that you were making earlier about how big it is out there right now, but more importantly, how much it's going to grow. We're going to add another 1 million people to the county in the next 20 years. So, making sure we have the infrastructure in place to do that. But we also have to become much more expansive in types of transportation. So, we are spending time, and rightfully so, looking at other alternatives, be they mass transportation, et cetera. But one of the things that I'm really excited about is technology in transportation. Mm-hmm. I know that as chair of the MPO, in conjunction with the chair of Austin's MPO, we have designated the expansion of 35 between Austin and San Antonio. We've designated 2 of those lanes, one in each direction, as the potential first 100% autonomous lanes in the nation. And what we're looking for are those alternatives to transportation, be it your individual vehicle, to mass transportation, to freight, to possibly rail uses. But I personally think that you'll see autonomous technology supplant traditional rail, and the cost is so much less. And so that's why I'm excited about technology and transportation and what that could mean to us, not only from an efficiency standpoint, but from a cost standpoint.
You're a veteran. Throughout your career as an elected official, you've worked closely with the military community and the veteran community. Tell us what the county is doing with veterans now.
So, I have seen this, certainly my entire life. We as a country have struggled with helping our folks transition from active duty to veteran status. I made that transition myself. It's difficult for everyone, more difficult for others. I can tell you that we have not been, again, as a country, very successful at that. In fact, on average, the folks walking out of the gate, we only touch about 10%. And what I mean by that is they receive some sort of assistance or service outside the gate after they discharge. So only about 10% of active duty military coming out the gate actually receive some sort of assistance. And I've always tried to figure out, why is that? Why do we know it's the right thing to do, but why are we so inefficient? Mm-hmm. And so I started to look at it from a couple ways. The first is you have to start that process before individuals leave. In other words, you have to be inside the gate. So over the last almost 4 years now, that's something that this county has been working on, starting in Washington and the Pentagon and working our way down to get permission to be inside the gate. And so we've secured that here in Bexar County. So we will start the process at least 6 months before an individual discharges. So I took that end of it and I said, all right, what's the best thing you can do for an individual coming outside the gate? You know what? It's find a job. At the end of the day, whether you're former military or not, the things that allow us to take care of ourselves and our family better than anything else is a good job. So we've made an integral part of this, partnering with employers here locally, that we will help them recruit and find. We're going to take what we call our military service officers, and we're going to get employers to train our MSOs as if they were their own recruiters, so that at the very least, that when they pre-screen individuals coming out of the military or existing veterans or their families, that employer has confidence in us that we have done the same level of due diligence in looking at an individual that they would do as if the person walked directly in their door.
And the county has a facility that just opened.
That's right. We opened our military services office right outside the gate on New Braunfels. It's where we will be taking in these folks that are exiting the military. We're servicing their families as well as existing veterans, and we're doing two major things. One, if they need services, maybe it's housing. Maybe it's they need help with rehab for an injury they suffered while on active duty. Maybe they need continuing therapy for PTS. We'll help with that. At the same time, we're helping them find jobs with local employers. And from what I'll call the selfish end of it is, I want the 4,000 people a year that discharge out of our 3 bases, I want them to stay here in San Antonio. And half of them already do. And I want them to stay here, and I want our employers to have access to that pool of very talented, well-trained military personnel to help fill their jobs that I know that they want to fill.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Wolff. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for visiting with us today on thePoint.
No, I appreciate it, and I'm glad you guys are doing this. I mean, it's difficult to get the word out on things that we do, that your government does, and hopefully what it's supposed to do. So you doing this is not only good for us here, but it's also good for the citizens that we serve.
Great. Thanks very much.